The Leon County School District is anticipating a $7.8 million cut in their budget for the next school year. Board members have been trying to figure out the best way to work with funding that is not rising as fast as costs. Gina Jordan and Tom Flanigan talk through the changes, and we take a listen into recent exchanges among board members.
Tom, when a school district the size of Leon's cuts nearly $8 million from its budget, the ripple effects will almost certainly show up in what students experience every day, don't you think?
Well, they have to, Gina. Now, when you talk about a reduction in the school budget, this may not sound like a lot, okay, compared to the district's total spending for, let's say, the current fiscal year. Leon County School Board has a total budget of just under $650 million. And this has to cover staffing and general operations, capital projects, all these sorts of things.
Yeah. So the school board recently approved a cut for the next academic year. So that starts in the fall. It's for $7.8 million because the assumption is that costs will keep climbing. Hello, inflation. And the legislature may not provide a funding boost.
That's exactly right. And we don't know what that boost or non-boost is going to be for quite a while, Gina. We'll talk more about that later. But here is what Superintendent Rocky Hanna said. Essentially, they don't have much of a choice.
And this was not an easy decision for any of us in coming to some of these recommendations. But over the course of the last 6, 8, 9 months, I think we have gone through a very well thought of process to land the plane on where we are right now or where we are tonight. I'd also like to thank all of the people that have come to this podium to speak, to advocate on behalf of their role in our school district or their thoughts about some of these recommendations. And we have taken all of those words extremely seriously and to heart, and to continue to try to craft and mold this proposal into what it is tonight.
And indeed, a lot of people came to the podium at the Leon County School Board meetings during the past several months, Gina, advocating for whether it was the arts program or athletics or the counselors for the various schools, all saying, please, don't cut us, don't cut us. And Gina, this budget reduction will hit a bunch of items like staff, arts and athletics, as we said. And here's School Board Chair Marcus Nicholas. He was laying out the whole impact.
The superintendent recommends a $7.8 million budget reduction for the 2026-2027 school year. This includes a district cost center reduction of 5.67% or $2,381,310, staffing plan reduction of $2.3 million or $4,800,048, and a 50% or $500,000 reduction for the arts and athletics, and a 50% or $125,000 reduction for community groups.
You know, Tom, I remember talking to Rocky Hanna before the start of this school year, and it was the same thing. They did some Hail Mary things with the budget to kind of rescue this year, but I just remember thinking that he just looked defeated. I mean, it's painful what they're having to do. And part of the pressure on these board members is coming from outside the district because there's a lot that's unknown as far as the state budget. What will that look like when the Florida legislature finally finishes that?
And of course, the question also that is being begged here, Gina, is when is that going to happen? Because we know lawmakers were supposed to be in mid-March and have everything all wrapped up, but they have to come back later this month to craft a budget for that next fiscal year that will officially kick off July 1st.
You know, we say this every time the session runs long. They had one job.
Yeah, and this is becoming a perennial thing. Remember, this is 2 years in a row that this has happened. And we all know that's the only constitutional requirement the Florida legislature really has during the 60-day annual session. They got to do the state budget. But since they weren't able to work it out during this second year in a row during the regular session, they got to come back in a few weeks.
Yeah, and of course this impacts a ton of people, a ton of industries. But school districts urgently need to know what the legislature is going to do here and how much schools will get for per student funding.
Yeah, and that is the uncertainty here. Superintendent Hannah, Gina, said that there's at least some hope that the state could step in once lawmakers finalize that budget, and they really are at the mercy of the Florida legislature. So Hannah says they got to be ready.
We do hope that when the legislature returns, or when they return, that we will have better news than we are expecting. If we do, we always said that we can go back and add some of these things back to the staffing plan or back to dollars that we push down to our schools for arts and athletics and for these community field trips that our kids so enjoy and appreciate. In the meantime, I feel as though it's prudent for us, as hard as it is, to prepare for the worst and prepare like we are going to receive basically the same amount of revenue next year that we did this year that we did last year. And that's the exercise that we've gone through over the last however many months now, especially since our retreat in January. We have really fine-tuned this document into what it is tonight. And we will continue to work with all of our school principals on a case-by-case basis individually to talk about their needs in their school and their school community and adjust their staffing plans accordingly while going through and then taking out the things that they feel like they can live without at their school. And the same at the district office. There are a number of positions that we have consolidated or frozen or eliminated for the coming school year during the course of this year and for next fiscal year. But all of these are cuts. In a perfect world, we would love to keep operations as normal, but we are not right now living in a perfect revenue world. And to Ms. Smith's point, we know we are losing students, although I don't think it's a fast bleed, it's a slow bleed that over time there have been students, especially post-pandemic, that have gone on to take advantage of school choice programs. We will continue to evaluate. I know I've watched school boards for 38 years, and I know Roseanne has too. I've never seen 5 school board members disengaged and hold a superintendent as accountable as you guys hold me. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying that as you're doing your jobs.
Okay, Tom. So Hannah was saying all of that at last week's school board meeting. He had like another sentence or two. To me, the comments were pretty benign. I mean, the district is losing students, not terribly fast, but they are. But board chair Marcus Nicholas took great offense to those comments. He says he's frustrated about all of this discussion surrounding enrollment.
We are losing students over the last 4 years based on the data that was said. I still haven't seen it. At less than 1% a year. That, by any metric, is natural attrition. So I'm not sure why that last comment was warranted, because even over 15 years, 6,000 students. So unless I'm missing something,
So Chair Nicholas, I agree with you, but I will say we are not a growing district. Okay, and I came up to this podium really to answer questions, not to deliver a speech. So if I said something that touched a nerve with you, I certainly didn't mean to do that. Okay, I agree and have said it many times that yes, we have lost a handful of students over the course of time, right? But I also recognize that yes, we have lost. We are not growing. Having said that, I know we have had conversations about other issues and ways to save money. I feel like that we tonight are making the decisions that are best for our district. Okay? And so again, I came up here to answer questions. I didn't realize we were going to relive exactly what I did yesterday. I went home last night and patted myself on the back. I said, man, you did a great job over the last 9 years. That's probably one of the best deliveries you made or best things that you said of explaining this document. I wasn't prepared to do it again. So I didn't mean to touch a nerve.
For me, it's the narrative, and this information says the exact same thing we just said. So for me, it's just the narrative that we're hemorrhaging students, but that's what that last comment alluded to, and that's what struck the nerve. And I'm like, with all that's at stake, all the cameras around, this is the message that we put out here. That's what struck the nerve, because the data does not suggest any of that. So I'm just like, why are we continuing this narrative? And it's unless I'm missing something.
And Tom, Hanna never said the district is hemorrhaging students, and he defended himself against that comment. But essentially, he was saying, we know this is happening. And he said, we know we're not just bleeding these students, but it's happening.
Yeah, it is. The problem is that the enrollment is not going up. And we have seen this in Florida, Gina. As long as we've been here, the numbers keep going up. More population coming into the state, more students coming into the school districts, all that. And we're not seeing it right now, not only in Leon, but elsewhere. In fact, we'll get into this a little bit later on. But one board member, Alva Smith, has been calling even for an audit of the Leon School District to determine exactly what the enrollment metrics are for each school to determine what is the capacity. And that gets us into things like schools of hope. I mean, there's so many issues that are involved here. A lot of moving parts. So now we've seen on the local and the statewide level numbers that are going down as far as students are concerned. And those students have more options, so not everyone is going to the traditional public school anymore. So that really plays into this, too.
That is definitely the big change, and I think that will be ongoing. I think a big issue behind that, and again, this is statewide, is this school voucher scholarship program.
Sure, because any student, regardless of family income, they don't have a means test here, can get around $8,000 to attend a private school. They can use it for homeschooling. I mean, they have a lot of choices beyond the traditional public school.
Exactly. So we have seen that the Republican-controlled legislature for years has really been a big proponent of school choice. Over time, lawmakers keep expanding this school voucher program, and the current path now is one where the money follows the student. So every time a student disenrolls from the Leon County school system, that is a drop in per-student spending available to the district.
Well, just this week, a few days ago, Gina, the state's education commissioner, Stasi Kamoutzis, was at Capitol Tiger Bay. And in the first one-third of his talk, he spoke about how wonderful Florida's school choice program is, to the extent now that almost half of the students in Florida are now exercising the option through the voucher program in either homeschooling or private schools or for-profit charters, whatever. And he was really presenting accolades to the legislature and the governor and everyone else. So the enrollment issue is the problem, and it has the attention, as we mentioned, of board member Alva Smith. She's been doing a lot of research on this. She's been pulling all the numbers, and we won't get into all the weeds here, but she's seen enough to say that the board should strongly look at school closures or consolidation to handle the decrease in enrollment.
Yeah, she's really adamant about that. So the board met the day prior to their meeting to review the agenda. And at that point, Smith said she is disappointed in the direction they're going.
The things we're talking about are Band-Aids when what we need is surgery. That'll be my analogy. We've all had an analogy today. We are declining enrollment in this district. We've lost over 1,000 students just in the last 5 years, and almost half of those came from last fall to this fall. The scholarship dollars keep increasing. We have over 5,000 empty student stations in this district. These are numbers that didn't evolve overnight. It's no fault of yours or ours why we're here, but it is where we find ourselves. And while I continue to study the numbers and wonder, what am I missing? What am I missing? Why does consolidation make sense to me? And doesn't make sense to anybody else, I can't figure it out. I really can't, because in my mind, we could save a lot of what we're losing here. The thought of increasing some of our classrooms by even just one more student just breaks my heart for some of those teachers. The thought of losing our social workers and our interventionists and saying, you teachers have to take on this responsibility, it breaks my heart. To think that we're pulling arts and athletics funding from everyone in the district when we could keep all of that if we would just eliminate some of the number of buildings that we're operating breaks my heart. I'm so frustrated.
Frustrating for a lot of people, Tom, but she says all this work they're doing is just a Band-Aid.
Well, on the other hand, though, Gina, you know what happens when a neighborhood school closes. I recall when Bellevue Middle School over in the southwest side of town was taken out of existence. It was a traumatizing situation for that neighborhood and for the kids and for the parents and everyone who was associated with that school. It kind of, pulls the heart out of a community. It truly does. So no one wants to close a school if they can help it. And boy, that really goes double for board member Roseanne Wood. Now, she's worked in the Leon County School District in some way, shape, form, or fashion for 4 decades. She was a founding member of Sale High School, longtime principal there, been a school board member for 8 years, and she kind of understands both sides of this issue pretty well.
Before we talk about that and we name a school, it's easy to say in the abstract, but if you start naming a school and you start affecting people's individual lives and their loyalty to their school and their convenience and all those things, that's just such a serious conversation. And I heard you say that it's not off the table. I mean, I went through as a principal when the school district closed Bellevue, and that was hard. And then Caroline Brevard was closed. And I remember the hundreds and hundreds of people coming here being upset about it. But those decisions were made when the enrollment had declined so much that it just had to be done. And we may get to that point. And it would probably call for a complete district-wide rezoning, because as you just pointed out, it's not just in one school. It's scattered around. So but it just doesn't seem like we're at that point yet. And so, as I said earlier, these cuts are painful. I think they're judicious, but I just think we've moved past that discussion. But I did hear you say and offer that we will look. It is on the horizon, perhaps, and we haven't said no completely.
Tom, it's been a while since we've had any kind of major rezoning, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was, remember, the district also kind of offered its own variation on school choice several years ago, where you could opt to send your child out of district, but, you'd have to provide your own transportation. You had some more options the district was trying to build into its protocols to ostensibly hold off some of the school choice initiatives that were coming, particularly out of state government.
Yeah. So pressure coming every which way. Board member Lori Lawson-Cox reiterated at that board meeting that this is not easy. It's not easy to make these decisions that are going to impact students and staff, and school counselors would be impacted.
And I know some of you are in the audience, some of the social workers, and the amount, talk about caseloads that you all have as well. And I was reminded today about things that we and the superintendent has done an amazing job putting supports in our schools that really help support teachers, that help bring about student success. And as we're going through this does not go by any of us lightly. I don't think that it's going to cost somebody something. And we do not take this lightly. But I do appreciate the work of all of our social workers. We've enjoyed and so much appreciate hearing from our Leon County Virtual School and people that have come and spoken to us. And we really appreciate the work that y'all do and how you've advocated for your profession. And you do make an impact in our schools. And we so much appreciate, because without some of these supports in place, like students that need glasses or parents that need resources that maybe even a school counselor is not aware of, that there are people in our schools that stand in those gaps for our most vulnerable students.
So, Gina, board members, as we have heard, have been really struggling and wrestling with what to do about all this. And these discussions are not just taking place within the confines of the school board meeting site out there on Pensacola Street. The aforementioned board member, Alva Smith, has been going out onto the hustings, as we call it, the rubber chicken circuit. Although the chicken is pretty good at the Civic Center, I must admit. She recently took her case for consolidation closures to the Capitol Tiger Bay Club and even printed up lots of handouts for the audience to get her point across.
Our budget from 2023 to 2025-26 has gone from $667 million to about $647 million. So you can see the decline financially, but that gives you an idea of the size of budget we're working with. The students have gone from around 32,000 down to around 30. You're going to see some numbers in the 29,000. So you can see our decline, but we're going to talk about charter and scholarship because some of these numbers include some of those charter school students.
You know, that's a good point, that there is some extra pressure here because in addition to students getting school vouchers, any empty space in a traditional public school can be taken up by a Schools of Hope charter. Lawmakers have allowed this, and these charter schools don't have to pay rent or utilities to fill that space, and that's been a big point of contention.
Oh, it sure has. So what the Leon School District did pretty recently, Gina, was move to kind of not exactly an end run, but to preclude some of the possibility that the state could impose a Schools of Hope solution here locally. On some of the Title I schools that had additional capacity, the district invited the Head Start program, which, as you know, lost its various locations around town, to come on in and take up residence in some of these undercapacity schools. There's also the Brownsville Academy, which is associated with the new Mount Zion AME Church out on Old Bainbridge Road. They need some additional space, and so the school district has been working with those folks to bring their preschool program into some of these Title I schools. So there's been a lot of proactivity as far as the Leon School District is concerned to try to keep any kind of imposed Schools of Hope solution out of the district. Yeah. How long can they do that? Who the heck knows? But in the interim, that's something that they're attempting to do.
Yeah.
You know, these Schools of Hope, as you were talking about, the nonprofit organizations that serve students from persistently low-performing schools, well, the state says that these Schools of Hope are designed to provide high quality in education in areas where poverty is prevalent. So that battle is being waged, certainly in other parts of the state, and we'll see if that comes to Leon County as well. Let's get back to, though, what Alva Smith had to say also at Tiger Bay when she talked about closures and what may be best for both teachers and students in that regard.
And anyone in here who owns a business knows that you cannot operate locations, multiple locations, as you're losing dollars. You've got to do something different, right? You've got to consolidate, and you've got to do the best you can with the revenue that you're bringing in.
So Alva Smith is on that island pretty much by herself right now, insisting that this is the way to go. Other board members just aren't ready to take that step.
And yet, inexorably, Gina, we look across the state of Florida and we see what's going on in other school districts. Broward County, Miami-Dade, Orange County, even Union County, little itty-bitty tiny Union County. You think, boy, they wouldn't have any trouble, filling their school. Wrong. There are multiple districts in the state of Florida that are wrestling with this very same problem right now. And with that other great uncertainty, what is going to happen with the appropriation for education from the Florida legislature. You put all this in a big pot, stir it around, and you've got, if not chaos, a heck of a lot of uncertainty when it comes to education in the state of Florida.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty. So let's recap that, and I appreciate all your reporting on this. The Leon County School Board has voted to slash next year's district budget by $7.8 million because they want to be prepared in case they get the same level of funding from the legislature as this year, even though costs are rising. And this is a problem every year. If you give us the same level of funding, it's basically a budget cut because costs are going up. So these cuts include a $4.8 million reduction in staffing, $2.3 million in district spending, and $500,000 less for arts and athletics. And a lot of people, as you said, have gone to the school board begging, please don't do this. And the school board is saying, what choice do we have right now?
Exactly. And do we have to get some more public-private partnerships? I mean, we have already kind of broached that divide many, many years ago. You have schools that go out now and actively solicit support from any number of commercial organizations within the community. You have organizations like the Greater Tallahassee Area Chamber of Commerce who have been jumping in, particularly in Title I elementary schools, to help backstop some of the programs there. But their resources are limited as well. We do have a medium-sized school district here in Leon County, certainly not as big as Miami-Dade, which is among the largest in the entire nation, but even a little reduction to our way of thinking, like $7.8 million, that hurts, and it hurts really deeply. So we'll be following this all the way through, Gina, because even after the state appropriates the money, will it be enough? Where will it go? Those discussions will continue, and we'll be on top of it just as much as we possibly can.
Yes, no doubt there will be a lot of creativity as they look for money. So thank you, Tom. We will know a lot more once the state budget is finalized, and we'll keep following this and sharing that information. So thank you for all you've done to keep us posted on this.
Thank you, Gina, and we'll be continuing to take you to school.